And happy Friday, fight fans, and welcome back to Inside the Fence. Historic day today in the history of the show. This is the first episode where I'm not wearing the black button-up. I decided, I'm like, you know what, we're gonna retire that, put the gloves down on the mat, and just go with a different shirt today. So finally proving that we do not record all these episodes in one day. I'm the double champ casual, joined alongside Drew the Rooster Johnson. Drew, good to see you, my friend. We just spoke a week ago. I mean, less than 7 days ago, we were talking about UFC, and now we get to talk about it again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this is one of the first times I can remember we've had back-to-back numbered events. I think Dana's really trying to set a statement with this new Paramount Plus era, and I think that last card, you could have not asked for a better main event. I feel like that main event could potentially be up there for Fight of the Year come the end of the year. It was certainly one of the best fights I've seen in the past 12 months. So, I think that era brought on a lot of, old fans out back into the limelight, and they also put some new fans in there. So I think we have a really great foundation for what's to come this year with Paramount era.
I mean, not even just this year, for the next 7 to come. It was a rocky start. I mean, with Harrison and Nunez getting canceled, the staph infection rumors for Gaethje, another cancellation a couple weeks prior, the dude passing out on
another betting scandal.
Look, the betting scandal. It looked like it was going to be a really rough start, but credit to where credit is due. The entire card, not just the main card, everyone on the early prelims and prelims, everyone did an excellent job. And I mean everyone, the fighters, promotional staff, the video editors, the production crew, everyone who was involved with UFC did a great job. They should be really proud of themselves for that first card in the Paramount Plus era. But let's move on to the second card in the Paramount Plus era, UFC 325, live from the land down under. I have a funny story to tell about that in just a moment. This fight is headlined versus Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes 2, a rematch in the featherweight division for the featherweight belt. As always, we're going to start with the main card. Real quick, I should be embarrassed to tell this story, but I think that we owe it to the fans for me to tell this story. I texted Drew, sent me a photo of all the cards, or all the fights on this card, and like every photo had like the country of where everyone was from. And I literally go to Drew, I'm like, why are there so many Australians on this card? And then Drew paused for a second, and he just looks at me, and I go, it's because the fight's in Australia.
Yeah, that did happen. I do have one other quick anecdote here, that if you've ever heard the song Down Under by Men at Work, that song was so popular, they literally decided to make an entire continent about that song.
That's how popular it is. Dude, Men at Work, great album. Who can it be now? Let's ask that question ourselves. First bout of the main card is a lightweight bout between Quinlan Salkeld and Jamie Mullarkey. Two Aussies going off in their home country. Remember, Drew, his parents owned a bakery.
Yeah.
This fight is a completely massive typhoon of odds right now. Salkeld is at a minus 600.
It's 1050, actually, John. Sorry. It's minus 1050.
It's 1050. Oh, you still made the wrong one. Drew, is that because of just his last fight? It was one of the most brutal knockouts you've maybe ever seen.
What do you mean last fight? He, in my opinion, he was Rookie of the Year in 2025. Guy goes 4-0, 4 finishes, absolute dog. And no offense to Jamie Mullarkey, but Jamie Mullarkey's really good at one thing, and that's getting punched in the face. I think Quinlan Salkeld's going to absolutely tear this guy up, kick this main event off into the stratosphere. First round knockout, end of discussion. That's all I have to say.
I'm taking Salkeld as well. We'll get our odd picks out of the way pretty quickly. We're trying to speed through these first couple of ones here because we have a lot more to talk about on the back end of this main card. As we just want to move up, you happy with that one?
Yeah, I think that Quinlan Salkeld's a very funky and unorthodox striker. His leg kicks are just crazy, and the way he seems to, throw all these spinning kicks, I don't really know how you defend against those. So for that reason, he's just a bad stylistic matchup for anybody.
So last week, we started, on the new Instagram, go check it out, Inside the Fence. So we started doing, our main card fight predictions, getting them out there, who we pick, so we can have some accountability, and then people can, spam us in the comments how wrong we were. So last week in this section, we both took Allen to win his fight.
I did not take Allen. I took Gene Silva.
I took Allen. You're correct. My apologies. Allen versus Gene Silva. So I lost. And so as I was making the new one, I haven't told you this story yet. I was using the old format, and I went to go put Saul Killed's photo in for Allen. You couldn't tell the difference. They look like the same person. For a second there, I honestly thought keeping the photo of Allen there to see how many people would notice. Let's move up to a heavyweight bout between the number 12 Tai Tuivasa and the number 15 Taliesin Terexia. Aussie versus Brazilian. Tai has not fought in some amount of time. Drew, tell us all about it.
Tai Tuivasa is going to get absolutely murdered in this fight. I do not care what anybody says. He's 0-5 in his last 5, all finishes, was well over 300 pounds in the back end of last year. Hasn't fought since August of 2023 or 24. For that reason, I'm taking Taliesin Teixeira. I think that he gives anybody a bad matchup. He's got heavy hands. He's pretty much like a slimmer version of Tai Tuivasa with more weapons and more power. So for that reason, give me Taliesin Teixeira to ruin Tai Tuivasa's homecoming.
Those are all excellent points. All those points are also the reason that I'm going to be taking Tai Tuivasa to win this fight. I feel like we're trying to get people into, UFC on this new era. So you get all of these new casuals, and these new casual fans have to realize sometimes there's going to be an obvious winner in a fight, and then the other guy just wins. And I completely see that happening here. On a more of a real note, Tuivasa, he hasn't fought in a while. 0-5 in his last 5, and that was that's accumulating the last 8 years. But you look at some of the names he's fought. He's fought some pretty big name guys in the heavyweight division, just in history, period. And he's got good hands. Has he used them lately? Not at all. Maybe to pick up a couple extra McDoubles, from the local McDonald's or whatever it is. Australians in the comments, tell me what your version of fast food is. I want to know. But
pretty sure they just had McDonald's. Pretty sure they just had McDonald's.
Yeah, but every.
Okay, I have a question.
Canada has Tim Hortons.
Okay, but here's the thing. Do Australians use the metric system? Because if so, they wouldn't know what a quarter pounder is.
It's a Royale with cheese. It's a really good question.
Yeah, a Royale with cheese.
Australians in the comment sound off. I'm going to take Tuivasa though. I don't have a reason. I really don't. I just feel it. You gotta have one of these per card. Listen, per episode, for those of you who are new fans of the show, me and Drew are awarded one, just because I feel like it, fighter per card. Okay, there's 10 fighters in a main event. You get one fighter where he's like, you know what, he's gonna win just because I feel like it. Everyone else, you have to come in with some statistical analysis.
We both went 3 for 5 last week, and that passes every test that I've ever taken.
Yeah, you're right. We are tied. Me and Drew are tied in the new era, so we're going to go into UFC 325 and see who breaks out. And let me tell you something, folks. We got a lot of split decisions on this one. Let's move up to a lightweight bout between the number 14 ranked Mauricio Ruffi versus the number 9 ranked Rafael Fiziev. Once again, we're very split on this one, Drew. We actually kind of argued earlier this week about this card. You and I have very opposing opinions about this. I will let you go first.
As much as I love Mauricio Ruffi, I'm taking Rafael Fiziev in this fight. Rafael Fiziev is 13-4, and let's look at the only 3 losses that I can remember off the top of my head. He went the distance with Gaethje twice, and he lost in a freak injury where he tore his ACL fighting Mateus Gamrot. So if those fights didn't happen, he's 13-1, and we're talking about somebody completely different than 13-4. However, he went 3 rounds with Gaethje, who just beat the living shit out of him for 15 minutes. For that reason, I'm taking Fiziev, because I feel like Mauricio Ruffi, if he can't knock you out, he has problems. Look at his UFC debut fight where he went the distance and won 29-28, where he noticeably gassed out in that 3rd round. And I have a feeling that when you take a guy that has a problem with winning if he can't finish you and put him up against an absolute tank like Fiziev, he's going to have issues. I could easily see this fight going to Mauricio Ruffi, but I feel like he can't finish Fiziev, so he's going to have a problem with him. And Fiziev is also a high-volume, crazy striker that has a lot of power in those hands, and I think he has significantly more power in his hands than Ruffi does. So for that reason, I'm going to take Rafael Fiziev to pull off the slight upset and beat Mauricio Ruffi.
So here's another excellent point. So this is a 3-round fight. How do you think this fight go? Like, what type of fight do you think you see here? Do you think you're going to see a stand-up, meet in the middle, move around, or are you going to see Fiziev try to shoot a little bit more? What are you expecting?
He's not going to want to get in close because of how much power Fiziev has in his hands. So for that reason, I feel like Fiziev just, has more UFC experience and is going to be able to kind of pour it on like BSD did against Rufi. Like, Rufi didn't even win any stand-up exchanges with BSD. So for that reason, I think that Fiziev's just a little bit better of a fighter, and we're going to see that Fiziev just pull off a win.
Yeah, we argued about this. You brought up Justin Gaethje and you brought up BSD. You talk about he couldn't wrestle or he could wrestle against Justin Gaethje, and Justin Gaethje's an all-time fighter. And then you said Ruffy couldn't land any opposing strikes against BSD. Well, BSD's is gonna eventually maybe end his career as one of the all-time strikers or all-time just toe-to-toe fighters. Because he can lay in there. I'm taking Ruffy. I think the height advantage, it's 5'11 versus 5'8. Fiziev historically has kind of struggled with guys who are not at his level, height-wise or taller. You look at those Gaethje fights, and Gaethje's about 5.
5'10"-ish.
Gaethje's 5'10", right? And if he's bouncing, he goes up to 5'11", and like I said, he's struggling with the height difference there. The arm reach, 75 to 71 and a half. I just think this one's going to be more trading blows, and you don't want to do that with Ruffy. And this being a 3-round fight, it's going to move a lot quicker. That's probably I talked to a couple people who it was their first time watching the UFC, and they noticed that there was a stark difference between the 3-round fights and the 5-round fights. Gaethje and Pimblett moved a little bit slower, right? They were more methodical with their actions because they had quite literally 10 more minutes of work. These guys in the 3-round fights, they got to work a lot quicker. They sometimes can't let things go to the cards because everything's amplified, right? If you lose 2 rounds in a 3-round fight, you lost. If you lose 2 rounds in a 5-round, you can still win. You know what I mean? So in these 3-round fights, you're not going to. I don't think you're always going to see a lot of grappling. I think that's more common or wrestling. I think that's more common in 5 rounds, unless your name's under Magomedov. But I'm taking Ruffy for this one. I think this one's going to stay toe-to-toe, and I think Ruffy gets this one in 2.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption. I think it's going to be a hell of a fight. This is my pick for. I think there's 3 potential fight of the nights on this card, and this is definitely one of them.
That being said, let's move up to my nominee. I stumbled on the word there. My nominee for fight of the night, and that is the lightweight bout between the number 6 Dan Hooker and the number 8 Benoit Saint Denis. I'm excited for this one. I know my shout out to my buddy Ethan. He's incredibly excited for this one. BSD is on a really good comeback right now. He kind of dipped down just a little bit there in the middle of his career, but his last fight against Benal Dariush, is that who it was? He flatlined him. Has really kind of put him back, and he's been very much climbing up that lightweight ranking system in a good way. You and I agree on this one. We're both taking BSD. Why don't you tell us why, Drew?
So here's the thing. I hate to burst your bubble, but I feel like this fight cannot be fight of the night because there is no way in hell this fight goes 15 minutes. This fight is not going 15 minutes. Either Dan Hooker's getting submitted or either Dan Hooker's getting submitted or Benoit Saint Denis is going to knock him out. Benoit Saint Denis getting knocked out. There is no in between here. There's no debate. I feel like Dan Hooker's wrestling is just bad enough to get him in trouble on the ground with Benoit Saint Denis, because we've seen what Benoit Saint Denis has done to these guys that have okay wrestling. Like Mauricio Rufy has okay wrestling, and he threw him around like a rag doll, and Rufy had absolutely no answers for him. We saw what happened when Dan Hooker fought Arman. Dan Hooker had no answer for Arman, and I feel like these guys are very close in height. They're very close in reach. They're very close in leg reach, and I think that this fight is something that is going to be very special for that very short amount of time that we get to watch these two go out toe-to-toe.
That's a very good point. You're talking about performance of the night. Hooker, he's coming off a loss against to Arman, correct? Yeah, that's a. We opened that jar of pickles last episode. We're going to close it for now. You see, dude, they did him so dirty ending the broadcast on him. Did you see that?
I did.
Dude, someone in the production room definitely got fired after this one. I think this one's going to be fight of the night simply because I think the first 3 fights in this main card are also going to end relatively quickly. Right?
I mean, you can't give a fight of the night, yeah. You can't give a fight of the night to a fight that ends in the first or second round. I'm sorry, but that's not how it works.
No, you can give performance of the night for sure.
Performance of the night, yes, but fight of the night, no.
But I think this one lasts just long enough. BSD, as much as I love him, has one fatal flaw, and that's like every once in a while he just cannot end a fight when he is supposed to. Right?
I agree with you on that one.
He's got a really good fast ending time. I think it's like he's never been into the third round or whatever the stat was. But if you go watch his fights the way I have, he's had a couple fights, maybe I'll just say 2 or 3, where it's like that should have been a knockout, that should have been a submission, and he's kind of just let it go. And I feel like Dan Hooker is still good enough in his career to extend this fight a little bit longer and also give a good performance, and then BSD just comes in late in the second or early in the third and just flatlines him, and then fight of the night. That's also just, and I say that once again because I think the first 3 of this main card are not going to be to this level. That being said, the next fight more than likely is going to walk away with fight of the night.
Absolutely. Excuse me, I agree with you 100% on that.
Let's go up to the featherweight title bout between the number 2 ranked Diego Lopes and the reigning, defending, undisputed champion Alexander the Great Volkanovski. Drew has asked me to start this one. He wants me to give my analysis first. This is tough. I love both of these fighters very much. I don't think you're going to find anybody who dislikes either two. You'll find a couple people who like Diego Lopes. Let me roll that back. There's some weird people out there who don't like Diego Lopes. If you're one of them, you're weird. Everyone loves Volk. There's a good amount of people who don't even know Volk is a UFC fighter, which I find is hilarious. This is a really great fight because, number one, it's a man without hair versus a man with the stupidest fucking haircut on the face of the earth. I love Diego Lopes, but to this day, I've never been able. It's a bowl cut, part shave side mullet. He went to the barbershop and said, "Let me get one of everything." His boys, whoever his friends are, they should be put in jail for allowing him to do this. So let's recap. So belt got vacated. Ilya beat Volk. Ilya vacated the belt to move up a weight class. Volk then won it back in a interim match between these two, or
undisputed.
Undisputed match between these two. Diego lost. Some people were very confused on how Diego even got that shot in the first place. Were you one of them?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I had a feeling it was coming just because, the UFC wants Diego to be champ, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. A lot of people were really confused. Diego lost. Volk has he fought anyone since then? Volk hasn't fought anybody. And Diego, with potentially one of the best knockouts of last year, spinning elbow, flatlines Gene Silva. We saw him last week. Great comeback performance from him, by the way. And so now we're in this position where we're getting a rematch. Volk hasn't fought anybody, and Diego is coming off of a really good win against a really great fighter. And I think what's going to happen in this one is very much of the same from last time. It's going to be very similar. It probably will go 5 rounds, or it will go very late. Volk has an incredible cardio, incredible endurance, goes to decision a lot in a variety of ways. I mean, he's not one of these guys who just lays on top of somebody. He'll throw punches, he'll throw jabs, kicks, he'll wrestle with you. He can do it all. Diego, I think, has taken, we'll just call it the last year since this last fight happened. I think he's taken a lot of time to really develop himself. You look at that fight versus Gene Silva compared to his fight against Volk. Diego, his problem with Volk is he just took too many shots to the head from Volk, which ran up the card, obviously. Not a lot of head movement. Keeps his hands pretty low, has to, because Volk is a smaller guy than he is. But I think Diego, in that Gene Silva fight, made the adjustments he needed to win this fight against Volk. With that being said, I am going to take Diego Lopes in this fight.
John, they say the hardest thing to do in football is to beat a team 3 times in 1 year. They say the hardest thing to do in the UFC is to beat a great fighter and beat him again. So give me Alexander Volkanovski to repeat last year, break all Diego Lopez's title shot dreams, and walk away with the belt, lay his gloves down in the center where it all began, and say thank you, Sydney, but this is it for me. I do not give a fuck if you think Diego's the better fighter. He might be, but we're talking about the greatest featherweight to ever walk the face of the earth. He beat Max Holloway 3 different times. Okay? 3 times. Went toe-to-toe with Islam in Fight of the Year in 2022 and their first title, and Islam's first title defense. I don't care that he got knocked out by Islam, then knocked out by Ilya. I don't care. I think that Alexander Volkanovski has that gold belt for a reason. He is Alexander the Great for a reason. Undersized featherweight, it doesn't matter who this guy seems to fight. He's going to come out on top, except unless your name is Ilya or Islam. But anyways, I think that I don't think Diego's going to be able to pick up Volk's changes. Volk seems to be a different fighter every time he fights. He's either going to grind you in the wrestling. He's going to stand up and stand toe-to-toe in striking. And let's talk about, even though Volk is 5 inches shorter, he only has 1 inch in a reach disadvantage because his arms are freakishly long for his size. So he's going to be able to still stand in the pocket with Diego and stand and bang, and Diego's not going to be able to hit him because he has to be punching down while Volk's going to be punching up, and their arms are the same length. So for that reason alone, and how weird Volk's physique is, give us our bald king to hold that strap at the end of the night.
This is a situation similar to last week with Paddy versus Gaethje. This is just one of those fights that I want to make a clear distinction, by the way. I had a couple people asking about this. Us picking a fighter on this show, that does not mean we dislike the other fighter.
In this case, I'm not a Diego Lopez fan. Sorry.
Oh, so you were the people I was talking about when I said that.
Yeah, I've been called a weirdo and worse in my day.
By me, by the way, I want to point out, I have said those things. But this is a situation. Well, I guess if your name is not Drew Johnson, this is a situation where we saw it last week. At the end of the day, we just want to see a good fight. I think that's one thing that people get confused about UFC fans. It's like, oh my gosh, you see the memes like, my boyfriend's mad because his favorite man that he's never met, lost to another man while shirtless. No. A majority of the time, UFC fans just want to see a good fight. Let me tell you something. Me and Drew both wanted Paddy to win last week. Were we upset that Paddy lost?
No.
Not at all. Why? Because it was an excellent fight.
I had it 48-47 for Gaethje. Okay, I don't know what this 49-46 bullshit was, but I had it 48-47, and I think that at the end of the day, Paddy's stock went up because we realized that Scousers, specifically Paddy, do not get knocked out. He took an absolute beating and did not get knocked out, and for that reason, I feel like Paddy's stock has gone up and did not go down.
Also, I point this out. I said this to you, Drew. He was very gracious in defeat, right? He stayed in there with Justin Gaethje, shook his hand, gave him a hug, raised his hand up. I don't know if that was people call him an industry plant. I don't know if that was an industry plant moment, but I think that moment alone made a lot of people start liking UFC a little bit more. Because I got to be honest, we need to retire throwing dollies at buses, okay? That type of fighter is very specific to one genre of people. We can't be having that. If you want to have beef, that's fine. But at the end of the day, you need to be respectful in combat because that's what people want, right? You're going in there trying to kill the other guy. You need to have respect for each other. Now, me as a person who's never fought professionally or amateur ever in my life, I can tell you, I really am getting tired of like the fake drama to pump up fights. You know what I mean? I just want to see. You want to know how you get people to watch fights? You just put on good fights. You schedule good fights, right? So, regardless, but yeah, I'm taking Lopez. I don't want to. It's a situation where I'm going to be happy with. You know what's going to be really hard is the next card.
You're not wrong.
The next card's main event will be impossible to pick the winner because it will hurt. It will be impossible to watch the fight and enjoy it fully.
Because it's going to hurt one way or another.
It's going to hurt either Max Holloway loses or Charles Oliveira loses, and not a single person wants to see that.
I think Oliveira's going to get knocked out. Sneak peek. Sorry, I hate to say it. And I'm tearing up thinking about it, but I watched Oliveira get knocked out in person, and I'm man enough to admit that I cried in the stands.
Forgot you were there. You were there.
I did cry in the stands. John texted me. He said, "You okay, bud?" I said, "No, we're not going to talk about it."
I forgot you were at that fight. But there you go. There you have it. Taking Lopez. Drew's taking.
I'm taking Volk. Sorry, I don't care if you guys are thinking Diego Lopez is second coming of Jesus Christ, because he's not.
I definitely no one here thinks that. I promise you.
Good, because he's definitely not.
No one said that.
The haters, John, the haters.
You are the haters. You.
I know. I know. I'm saying I am not rooting for Diego Lopez at all. I just want to see Volkanovski beat the living piss out of him.
Drew, as I just talked about that no one wants to see a sore loser, everyone wants to see someone gracious in defeat. Drew is that person, by the way. I'm going to get a phone call Saturday night, 11:45 Central Time. I fucking told you, that motherfucker.
Yeah.
That's going to do it. So, quick update on the channel here. That's going to do it for this episode. So, for those of you who are fans of the show and want to see a little bit more, you are not going to have to wait until the next UFC event in order for us to be talking about UFC. We are going to stay vigilant, We're going to stay vigilant, my brothers. We must stay focused. We must stay focused, my brothers. We're going to produce more content, and we want to know what you want to hear. So down in the comments below, tell us what you want to see. Drew is very excited. Drew wants to take on BJJ, which that's coming up on YouTube in a couple of weeks, actually. 4, I believe they're at right now.
I think it's 5, actually, John. I could be mistaken.
I think you might. Yeah, it's 4 or 5. But we're going to talk about the BJJ circuit. We're going to talk about Fight Night, Ultimate Fighter, everything that is MMA. We're going to be getting into it. But we want to know what you want to hear about. Drew,
maybe we can get some, power slap going. We can talk about that, because that might be more entertaining sometimes than the UFC, because they have to sit there and take that shit.
What I like about power slap is there's literally no technical ability involved whatsoever. It's just how big are your forearms, and how big are your shoulders,
and how big is your hand?
How big is your hand? Bro, I love seeing those videos of, like, a guy, like, they do it, like, they put their hand up first, then come back, and, like, you'll get these dudes from, like, Russia or Ukraine, and, like, they'll just, like, their hand covers their entire face.
Yeah, like dumpling.
And then they wind up, and you just know, like, he's gonna kill a person.
Well, also, Wolverine usually frickin' does his slaps in cowboy boots with jeans on. So if that kind of tells you the caliber of people that we're getting in this. And I think, we could do BJJ, some power slap, maybe even cover a little bit of the PFL here and there. I want to hear what you guys want to hear us talk about, because it all matters what the viewers want to see.
That's very true. That's what Dana White says. It only matters what the viewers want to see. And then he doesn't do anything we want to see.
And then he's like, you know what? They pay my bills, but fuck them. I don't care. I'm not doing that.
Dana White said it's all about what the viewers want to see, and then he gave us Volk versus Lopez too.
Or like the time when he was sitting there on Instagram Live, and he's like, "I want to oil you up." What does that mean? It's like he does not really, regard the viewers. He wants to do what he wants to do. And I have a feeling when he retires, the UFC's really going to struggle to replace him, and I can't even think of who's going to replace him.
Another day, another time. I'm the double champ casual. That's the Rooster, and we'll see you guys next time.